Well, another school board in the metro is making a tough decision today whether or not to close several schools because of low enrollment. Denver Public Schools has had the proposal on the table for 3 weeks now.
And Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is at district headquarters this morning. Veronica, with a few hours to go, it's still unclear how most of the school board members will vote.
But here's what we know. We know at least 3 board members were against the initial plan to close those first 10 schools. One board member has publicly said they would vote against any plan to close any schools. And that initial plan, if you remember, was for 10 schools, but then DPS came back and said, we're going to change it to 5. We have those 5 schools listed for you on our screen this morning. Denver Discovery School at the top of that list, Schmidt in Fairview Elementary, the International Academy of Denver at Harrington, and the Math and Science Leadership Academy. You mentioned it. Over the past few weeks, this has been going on. We have seen and we have definitely heard from parents who aren't on board with this. They have said these schools are vital parts not only of their children's lives, but also of the community. Despite that, DPS has stuck by saying that declining enrollment numbers are really forcing its hand in making these decisions. DPS even saying that it's had to subsidize these smaller schools, and it is just costing them millions of dollars a year. We know that meeting is going to happen again right here behind me at district headquarters. It's going to start at 4:30 this afternoon. And again, we expect to hear from parents, students, and teachers who just don't want this to happen. We have heard it for weeks now. So the meeting is going to happen again, 4:30 here behind me. It's going to be one of the very first things that the board members are going to talk about, so we won't have to wait too long. We're in Denver this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Yeah, a very emotional topic and a lot of factors to consider here. All right, thank you, Veronica. Well, speaking of schools, we all want to keep our kids healthy, but it is tough right now. Colorado is reporting 255 outbreaks of RSV in schools and child care facilities. RSV is a respiratory virus that typically hits kids the toughest. It can be severe if it goes untreated. Children's Hospital Colorado actually set up a large tent outside their facility 3 weeks ago to handle the overwhelming number of families coming to the emergency room right now, and it is still there. I had a chance to speak with the director of AMR Ambulance Services about handling this surge. Does it feel overwhelming?
At times it can, especially for our providers or paramedics and EMTs, but it's something that they're used to, and they're doing their best and continuing to provide the best care that they can to all of the patients.
Yeah, still definitely seek help if your child is sick enough. And a note for parents, doctors say they do have a single test that can detect RSV and the flu and COVID to help determine the best treatment. As parents ourselves, we know the spike in RSV is just one more thing to worry about right now. We spoke to a mom who's trying to balance work and caring for her sick kids. Amy Bro has 3 kids, all under 5 years old. They've all been sick on and off since the end of September. Her son was actually hospitalized at the end of October with a respiratory issue that was not RSV.
You're scrambling, you're taking time off work. You're out of PTO, so now you're just taking days off that you're not getting paid for.
No, parents should know that there's a law in Colorado that provides paid medical leave. It applies to your own health concerns or taking care of a sick family member. There's also the Family Medical Leave Act that allows eligible employees who work for covered employers to take unpaid leave. And then starting in 2024, there are benefits from the state-run Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program, where most eligible workers would get up to 12 weeks of leave.
We have an update this morning on a process we have been following now for months, the renaming of Mount Evans, an iconic piece of Colorado. It's currently named for John Evans, Colorado's first territorial governor, who played a significant role in the Sand Creek Massacre. In 1864, more than 200 Cheyenne and Arapaho people were killed. Today, supporters for 6 new names will make their case to Colorado's Geographic Naming Advisory Board.
The 6 proposals to rename Mount Evans include Mount Blue Sky, Mount Cheyenne Arapaho, Mount Evans, named after Ann Evans, the Governor Evans' daughter, Mount Rosalie, Mount Sistine, and Mount Sewell.
Now, members of the Arapaho and Cheyenne tribes support the name Blue Sky. To the Cheyenne, it's an annual renewal ceremony, and to the Arapaho, Blue Sky is what they were once called, the Blue Sky people. While none of us were alive when the Sand Creek Massacre happened, the pain is still raw for Native tribes in our state. A member of the Arapaho tribe told me that visiting the site of the massacre is still very difficult.
Every time I go there, it's a deep feeling, a deep feeling of dread almost. I can't not really explain the feeling, but it's just one real heavy sorrow, because the spirits there still talk to us, and we still feel that pain that went on there, and it travels from generation to generation.
Now, we know there are many perspectives on this, so we're going 360 in depth on the issue on Denver7.com. Our CB Cotton talked to historians as well as members of other tribes about the possible name change. Well, November is National Adoption Month. This Saturday is National Adoption Day.
Yeah, we are going in depth this morning, starting with Denver 7's Danny New, who is introducing us to families who have found new meaning and purpose through this process.
Yeah, I chatted with two families who were recently honored by the Colorado Department of Human Services. They try to get more people to adopt, specifically through foster care. So this is the first family I want to introduce you to, the Humanensky family down in Littleton. They have 4 biological children. After some encouragement from their church, Joe and Rebecca started fostering as well.
Wow.
Now, 5 years later, they have provided short and long-term care for 48 children and teenagers, and actually, some of them have stuck around for longer. So now they have 4 biological children, 4 adopted children, and are providing foster care for 2 more children.
Amazing.
They also have 3 dogs, one of which is also a foster dog. So that is 13 mouths to feed. But they don't mind at all. They're very passionate about this, specifically about fostering teenagers who sometimes get overlooked in the adoption process.
It's so much easier, so much more straightforward. They also have the ability to communicate, and they also know the situation that they've come from. So they're not nearly as confused usually as the little ones. We love teenagers. We would take 100 teenagers.
And I think you have enough mouths to feed now with 10 for 3 meals a day plus the
Definitely
dogs.
like a cafeteria, the way the meals come out. It's definitely cranking out just as many plates as you can.
Well, their 2 foster kids are getting adopted in January, actually. So congrats to them. That's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a little less of a load in the cafeteria, I guess, for them. But
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they do that.
yeah, I mean, to already have 4 biological children. Well, you guys are parents and I'm not, but I think 4 is
I
a lot
know.
of children
It
to
is.
have. And then
Yeah.
I don't know how people have more than one sometimes. So yeah, no,
So they're
it's
clearly
hard.
great people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it has been closed since the height of the pandemic, but a legendary Denver jazz bar is finding new life thanks to a famous Colorado family.
And if you bust out the Scrabble board over the holidays, make sure you don't accidentally challenge someone the new words that are now acceptable.